Once upon a time, in a beautiful valley hidden by clouds of gold, there was a place called the Village of Eternal Light. The sun always seemed to shine there. Flowers bloomed in every color you can imagine, and the people were always smiling and sharing with one another. The folks in this village weren't happy because they had lots of money or treasure. They were happy because they were kind. Right in the heart of the village stood the Great Lantern. It wasn't just any old lantern, it was magical. It pulsed with a warm, gentle light, and its glow was powered by the good deeds of the villagers. As long as they were kind to each other, the lantern would shine brightly, keeping their world full of light and color. In this village lived a young boy named Leo. He might have been small, but his heart was enormous. And wherever Leo went, his loyal dog, Pip, was right by his side. One sunny afternoon, Leo saw old Mrs. Willow struggling to carry a heavy basket of groceries. He ran right up to her. "Here you go, Mrs. Willow. Let me help you with that. My mom always says, kindness makes the heart grow." Mrs. Willow smiled, her face crinkling with warmth. "Thank you, Leo, dear. Your heart shines even brighter than the lantern itself." But not everyone loved the light. High above the valley, in the cold and desolate gray mountains, lived Malachar, the Shadow King. His castle was a jagged fortress of sharp, dark rocks, and his heart was just as cold and empty. Malachar hated the laughter and the brightness that drifted up from the valley below. He believed true power came from taking things, not from giving them away. He was lonely, bitter, and surrounded by a gloom of his own making. Staring down from his perch, he grumbled to himself. "Why are they always laughing? Why is it so disgustingly bright down there? All that light, all that power, if I could just steal their great lantern, all that energy would be mine. Then they would finally know my gloom, and they would fear me." So, one night, while the entire village was sound asleep, Malachar made his move. A giant, shadowy hand descended from the mountains, silent as a ghost. It wrapped its dark fingers around the great lantern and snatched it away, pulling it up into the cold, dark tower. Instantly, the Village of Eternal Light was plunged into darkness. A chilling night fell, and for the first time, no light shone. The beautiful flowers began to wilt and droop. The villagers woke up confused and scared. They couldn't see each other's faces, and soon, fear began to turn into suspicion and anger. "Hey, you stepped on my foot. Well, I can't see a thing. It's your fault for being in the way." Little arguments like this started breaking out all over the village. The darkness wasn't just outside, it was starting to creep into their hearts. Leo, holding Pip close, knew what he had to do. "Pip, if we don't bring the light back, the darkness will get into our hearts too. We have to go to the Gray Mountains. We have to get our lantern back." So, with Pip trotting bravely beside him, Leo began the perilous journey up the steep, scary mountain. The path was treacherous, filled with loose rocks and thorny bushes. Soon, they came to a rickety old bridge, and blocking their way was a huge, grumpy troll. The troll looked like he hadn't smiled in 100 years. Leo knew that shouting or trying to fight would be useless. Instead, he reached into his small satchel and pulled out the only food he had packed, a sandwich. He held it out to the grumpy giant. The troll blinked, surprised. He slowly took the sandwich and took a bite. As he chewed, a tear rolled down his craggy cheek, then another and another. "Nobody has shared anything with me in 100 years, he sniffled, before stepping aside to let them pass. Their journey continued, and soon they came to a wall of tangled thorns, so thick and sharp it seemed impossible to get through. Leo was about to try and find a way around when he heard a faint chirping sound. He peered closer and saw a small bird, its wing hopelessly trapped in the thorny mess. Instead of just pushing past, Leo carefully and gently worked to free the little bird. Once it was free, the bird chirped a happy tune and flew up high. A moment later, it returned with hundreds of its friends. Together, the flock of birds grabbed the thorny vines in their beaks and lifted the entire thicket out of the way, clearing the path for Leo and Pip. Finally, they reached the Shadow King's tower and crept inside. The air was freezing. In the center of the main hall, the great lantern sat on a pedestal, but its light was weak, flickering like a dying candle. Malachar stood before it, shouting in frustration, "Work for me. I am the king. I command you to shine." But the lantern only grew dimmer. That's when Leo stepped out from the shadows. "It won't shine for a command, Malachar. It only shines for a gift. Go away, boy, this is my power now. I have the lantern. Leo looked at the Shadow King, huddled in his dark armor, and saw not a monster, but someone who was just very, very cold and alone. You look cold, Malachor. Leo walked right up to the fearsome king, not with a weapon, but with his own warm scarf. He gently wrapped it around Malachor's shivering shoulders. I'm sorry you've been alone for so long. At that moment, that simple act of pure kindness, the great lantern didn't just flicker, it exploded with a massive, warm, golden light that filled every corner of the tower. The shadows melted away instantly. Malachor's sharp, dark armor transformed into simple, colorful clothes. The coldness in the room was replaced by a gentle warmth. The lantern didn't need a key or a command to be unlocked. It just needed an act of true kindness to be awakened. In that warm glow, Malachor realized he didn't want to be feared. He just wanted to be included. He whispered, his voice full of wonder. It's warm. Leo smiled. Let's take it home, together. And so they did. When they returned, the village was bright and joyful once again. The flowers perked up, more vibrant than ever. And Malachor, no longer the Shadow King, was there with them, helping to plant new flowers and laughing with the villagers. The village of eternal light had learned its greatest lesson. Evil is often just a heart that has forgotten how to love. And sometimes, the best way to defeat an enemy is to make them a friend. Thanks for watching. Remember to share a little kindness today.